Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
We could be delivering the perfect Christmas to you this year. There's £30,000 in tax-free cash to make 2026 the best year yet. A further £10,000 cash to spend on gifts for all the family. There's £1,000 to spend in your favourite supermarket. And a festively themed GB News goodie bag. And we'll get it all to you in time for the big day. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text bonus to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Bold.
They are under no illusion.
Brave.
Are you a human trafficker?
Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it.
Don't get us on the BBC.
Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines.
The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it?
From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos.
What we're going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak.
Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Saturday night, everybody, and this is the Saturday 5, the UK's biggest Saturday night TV show. I'm Dr. Renee Hundekamp. Along with me tonight is Emma Dunwell, Alex Armstrong, Trey Lowe and Kai Wilshaw. So tonight on the show,
I was kettled into a Jew cage.
the BBC show the world what they really are.
NHS nut zero madness is costing you a fortune.
The final nail in Labour's coffin.
And the Greens bring hope to the British left.
It's 6 p.m. and this is the Saturday 5. Welcome back, everybody, to the Saturday 5. I'm positively thrilled to be back in the driving seat tonight, having wrested it off Kai from last week. So, seatbelt fastened, hazards on as we steer through yet another week of glorious political chaos. Yes, it's been the usual mix of gaslighting, escaped prisoners, and the government's favourite sport, budget leaks. So don't touch that dial, don't switch over, and definitely don't panic. Do pour yourself a drink, a large one. We'll get you through it with wit. A dash of lefty mayhem from the corner over there, and a fabulous new voice who has single-handedly rescued our gender balance for the evening. Tonight we welcome the brilliant Emma Dunwell, an independent journalist who goes where others fear to tweet, making her GB News debut. Well done, Emma. To my left, I'm joined by our resident Errol Flynn, looky-likey, Alex Armstrong, always ready to jab me back on course when I derail, usually perfecting his Donald Trump impression as he does it. And then there's Trey Lowe, our pretend Conservative who seems to drift leftward by the week. We are monitoring him closely, don't worry. And finally, Kai Wilshaw, our faithful in-house lefty, he's the real lefty, who's apparently so alarmed at Trey's leftward drift that he's considering settling things with a live duel during Saturday 5 Extra. HR has not yet approved it, but I am very tempted and pushing. So buckle up, pour another and get comfy. We've got truth to tackle, nonsense to expose and egos to roast. So let's get into it. And of course, we want to know your views as well. Send your views, post your comments by visiting gbnews.com/yoursay. And don't forget to get your questions in for Ask the Five. No topics are off limit. Please put Ask the Five in your messages so I know what they are. And vote in the poll as well. Today we're asking, should parents be held responsible for killer children? Is it right to cut life-saving foreign aid? And should people be allowed to clone their pets? No. But before we start tearing each other apart, it's your Saturday night news with the lovely Bethany Elsey.
Thank you all. Good evening. I'm Bethany Elsey with your top stories from the GB newsroom at 6:03. It's reported Labour MPs are plotting to oust Sir Keir Starmer as anger grows over the government's plans to break a key manifesto pledge and raise income tax. The Times also reports more than 9 million pensioners face paying an extra £380 a year on average, as Rachel Reeves is also expected to cut national insurance in the budget this month. It's understood the discontent is also fuelled by the party's poll ratings. The UK could be set to face a tougher Denmark-style immigration system as the Home Secretary is expected to announce a huge shake-up. It's understood Shabana Mahmood is considering plans to make it easier to remove arrivals from the UK while also reintroducing incentives for those seeking to move here. She's supposedly been inspired by the Danish immigration system, which has tougher rules on family reunions and how long refugees can stay in the country. Well, it comes as GB News can reveal that 1,500 migrants have crossed the Channel in small boats since Thursday, taking this year's total to more than 38,000. The White House has accused the BBC of being purposefully dishonest when a Panorama documentary selectively edited a speech made by the president on the day of the 2021 Capitol Hill riot.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight.
Different parts of Donald Trump's speech had been spliced together while removing the word peacefully. Speaking to The Telegraph, his press secretary Caroline Leavitt branded the move as 100% fake news. Meanwhile, a BBC spokesperson told GB News that the broadcaster takes feedback seriously and considers it carefully. A woman is in a critical condition after she was stabbed in Birmingham in what police have described as an unprovoked attack. The woman in her 30s suffered a serious neck injury. West Midlands police were called to Smallbrook, Queensway shortly before 9 p.m. last night, and a man in his 20s has been arrested. Former Top Gear presenter Quentin Wilson has died at the age of 68 after a short battle with lung cancer. The TV presenter, motoring journalist and author helped to shape the original Top Gear series as one of its first hosts, working alongside Jeremy Clarkson. Wilson also launched a Fair Fuel campaign which helped to freeze fuel duty, preventing more than £100 billion in taxation. His family, who've described him as a true national treasure, say he died surrounded by his loved ones. You're up to date. I'll have more for you at 7 o'clock.
Tune into GB News Radio wherever you are. Online, on DAB digital radio, on TuneIn, on Radio Player and on your smart speaker. Just say, play GB News.
So it's Saturday night and you are with the Saturday 5. Over the next 3 hours, the biggest debates, the hottest topics and entertaining interviews. But let's crack on with tonight's first debate. And I am, of course, abusing the host seat and I'm going to go first. I want to talk to you about the BBC. Once a trusted institution, now little more than a propaganda channel. We are quick to sneer at Russian state TV as a mouthpiece for Putin, but the BBC, what's the difference? It's just the British version, only slicker, smugger and dressed up in self-righteous neutrality. Bit by bit, though, the mask is slipping. Whistleblowers, leaks, reports revealing the truth, an organisation that has become the very symbol, in my opinion, of what has gone wrong with this country. And the final nail in the coffin, they turned their bias on the most powerful man in the world, and Trump has already taken aim at what he is calling the leftist propaganda machine. When they literally stitched together two different speeches to make it look like Trump incited violence when he didn't, they took on the wrong enemy. Trump isn't scared of them, like we were, and he is right. This, on top of the endless trans ideology pushed through kids' shows and adult ones, the erasure of gender-critical voices, the platforming of Hamas, casting Israel always as the villain. The list is endless. I didn't have time for it. And anyone who dared to question was silenced, censored, or labelled a fascist. This isn't journalism, it's activism, funded by you and me. It's damaged us, it's damaged society, it's damaged trust. It's promoted a culture which is dark and decaying from the centre out. The rot stinks. Wander past Broadcasting House and you can smell it. How much longer will the government allow this bloated leftist propaganda machine to extort us under the banner of public service? I don't know about you, but I don't need to pay to be indoctrinated.
Hear, hear, Dr. Renee, hear, hear. It is a disgusting state we found ourselves in this country, isn't it, where the broadcaster that's meant to be broadcasting British values, is meant to be talking about Britain in an unbiased way, reporting the facts, because, of course, everybody basically has to pay it. We call it a licence, but really it's a tax, isn't it?
It's a tax.
What other company can get away with sending threatening letters to your door if you don't pay a so-called tax because you have a TV in your home? The bias stinks. It really, really stinks. And I think British people are fed up. That's why GB News is now #1 news channel 4 months in a row, because they want to hit. At least we give our opinions here, and at least we don't have to, not be careful not to roll our eyes when we see something that looks ridiculous.
And we don't force people, as you rightly say, to listen to it. Do you know 2,200 people in the last 10 years have gone to prison for not paying the fine that they get?
But let's be clear, they're not forced to listen to it, Dr. Renee. They're just
but they're still forced to pay for it.
Yes, but also...
Why should they pay?
The BBC does so much more than some of the instances that you've plucked out of thin air and cherry-picked to suit your bias, Dr. Renee, because, of course, especially the two dossiers on Hamas and on the Israel-Gaza conflict, that is based out of thousands and thousands of hours of footage. Now, no doubt, some people have got it wrong in the fog of war. That much is clear. But to make that out to be completely endemic throughout all of the BBC's programming, all of its educational programming...
Oh, that's about education.
Its education mandates...
What was the education stuff they put out with,
hundreds of millions...
Roman, we've always been here, rubbish. Even black people roll their eyes at that. So, yes, education, BBC Arabic, reporting different things from BBC English. You're right, it's not just the BBC English channel, it's all of it. It's all of it. It's indoctrination from start to finish.
It's not indoctrination, Alex. And you know... No. There's millions of hours of BBC stuff going on all the time. It can't be expected to be across all of it. And to call for Tim Davie to resign over these instances just misses the wood for the trees entirely. Yes, it needs to change. Yes, BBC staff are in a bubble. But throwing people out just for specific instances by their journalists would be ridiculous.
It was only last year that it came out that the BBC had breached their own editorial guidelines over 1,500 times. Now, I don't know another kind of national state broadcaster that would have been allowed to get away with that. I think that if it had been, especially a channel like this one or any independent journalism, I think that would have been stamped out pretty quickly, whereas the BBC, they just seem to be able to get away with everything and, on top of that, have the privilege of charging the citizens of this country the licence fee for something they don't watch.
I don't want Tim Davie to go, Kai. I want the BBC to run like everybody else, Let people pay for it if they want to watch it, and then I'll be happy.
Yeah, we'll see how well that goes with ITV being sold off to Sky, potentially. You know, we're losing the crown jewels of our broadcast,
well, then
of
maybe
broadcasting
the broadcaster
ecosystem.
should do what it sets out to do, which is to broadcast unbiasedly. Yeah. BBC Verify has put out fake news itself. How can you trust an organisation that has a verification department that puts out fake news?
Yeah, Alex, I'm with you on that, completely with you. But as I've told you before, the same amount of people who accuse the BBC of one type of bias, on the other side, on the left or the right, you will see them accused of the exact opposite.
I think it's a bit of a hard one, isn't it? I think there's bias everywhere, guys. I mean, there's no way of getting away from that. It depends on your perspective.
But we can choose.
For some people, the BBC's not left enough, and some people, the BBC's too right.
Forced to pay for it.
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely an argument that the whole way that the BBC's funding could potentially change. But I agree with Kai. I mean, if you look at how vast the BBC is and for how long they've broadcast, I mean, they're the oldest broadcaster in the world. I think throwing a couple of eggs at an organisation that's done a great job in many other instances
we have an example
is a little bit
just
unfair.
This week, there is a Supreme Court ruling in place, and one of their presenters has been punished because she corrected some editorial to say pregnant women instead of people. And she wasn't punished for saying that. She was punished for her facial expressions.
Yeah, that was a bit much. I have to agree,
But the instance, that case specifically, pregnant people was not the BBC's wording. It was actually not the BBC's style guide. She was reading from an external report that was erroneously, wrongly put in the auto cue, and that's what she was smirking at.
Kai.
The reason that they criticised it was because it could be seen as expressing political opinion.
This particular one, because I just want to ask you about John Sopel, when he decided within about 3 minutes of that hospital being blown up that it was Israel, and it wasn't.
Yeah.
And he's never corrected that. It's not corrected online. This goes on every single day.
But they have now corrected the record. They did at the time when they got that wrong, and that was one reporter mistakenly assuming that it was an Israeli strike when it was in fact a misfired Palestinian.
But reporters shouldn't be assuming anything, should they?
No, I agree. I agree in that instance, and I agree with all the things in the dossiers about the two dossiers about the conflict. There've obviously been mistakes done. But there's been so much reporting on that war, and rightly so. And I think the net benefit of all that reporting outweighs some of the critical mistakes they've made in a stressful war zone
Kai, they're
situation.
Not mistakes. They are ideologies.
It's reporting from a war zone.
How many ex-BBC newsreaders and journalists who are meant to be unbiased have now ended up at left-wing media organisations?
They've started their own.
Let's take Emily Maitlis, for example. Let's take, what's the other bloke?
Lewis Goodall,
LBC
John
now.
Sopel.
Yeah, John. And how many more do I have to count before you start to see, actually, there is an institutional bias within the BBC? And unfortunately, if you're expecting people to pay a tax for the BBC, if not, we'll send in the troops to march you out of your home. Mostly women, by the way, who get sent to prison for not paying the licence, which is sexist, you could argue.
Sorry, but that Trump video was just absolutely inexcusable.
Exactly.
You can't get around it.
How can BBC Panorama, their investigative department, the place where you go to rely on really good journalism, then doctor a video of Donald Trump to expose him just before a general election? That's foreign election interference, Kai. I'm sorry, BBC broadcasts all over the world, including in America. We cannot hold the BBC to different standards. It has its own separate rules. It has got away with scandal after scandal. It needs to reform. It needs to change. And part of that is saying to the taxpayer, if you don't want to listen to this, you should not be forced to pay for it. I'm sure the BBC will make a lot of money if they ask people to pay.
There's a lot of leftists in the country, Kai, who would watch it to reinforce their bias. I think it's quite
people who watch
simple.
it for entertainment purposes. It's absolutely, completely fine for it to be a self-funded organisation that makes money off of it, like every other company in the world. But unfortunately, its litany of scandals now is embarrassing. It's a state-funded propaganda unit run by the British government. It is run by the British government.
A little bit of
Well, it is.
Such a reach, Alex, and you know it.
When the taxpayer pays for something, it goes through the government, therefore it's run by the government.
Yeah. Well, if you've had enough of the BBC and you want to get away, I know how you can do it. It's time for the Great British Giveaway now. And if you're starting to feel festive, is that coming around too? About Christmas, and it's on us this year. Christmas is on us. That's £40,000 to spend on the Christmas of your dreams. £1,000 to spend on Christmas lunch. That's a big lunch from your favourite supermarket. And a GB News festive goodie bag. And the best news yet, you'll get it all in time for the big day. Sound great? Well, here's all the details you need for a chance to win and get away from this madness.
You could win your entire Christmas on us this year, all magically delivered to you in time for the big day. There's cash, £30,000 in tax-free cash to make your new year go with a bang. There's also a further £10,000 to spend on all the gifts. We've also got Christmas lunch for you, with £1,000 in vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. And finally, a festive GB News goodie bag, so there's something for everyone under the tree. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Welcome back. Still to come tonight. Emma, what have you got for us?
Well, I was kettled into a Jew cage in Birmingham.
You're with the Saturday 5 live on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show live every night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, this Trump made a good start. No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight talking show where all voices are heard.
And you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m. weekdays here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Saturday 5. Please do get in contact with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. Get your questions in for Ask the 5, and please put Ask the 5 in the email so that I know where they are. But thank you for your messages so far. I'm going to go over them later because it is time to crack on with our next debate. Who's up next?
So that would be me. Now, on Thursday, the 6th of November, a few days ago, I was in Birmingham. Now, obviously, everyone was looking at Birmingham on that day. We had the Maccabi Tel Aviv versus Aston Villa match. Now, I don't follow football, don't know anything about football. My football-obsessed friend said that it's not uncommon for fans of teams to be banned. However, this was clearly due to political pressure and activist groups, obviously people like Ahmed Yaqub, calling a lot of pro-Palestinian activists and protesters to come in and essentially scare away all the pro-Israeli protesters. Now, the pro-Israeli protesters were actually kettled into what people have dubbed the Jew cage. It was a metal fence, some sort of a tennis court or netball courtyard, and the police, while they said that they were allowed to leave, once they left they couldn't go back in, which was obviously that was where the speeches were happening. And now we compare this to what we saw the pro-Palestinian protesters were able to do. There were bottles thrown, there were chants of death to the IDF, there were chants of Allahu Akbar, and they were also throwing wooden planks. So personally, I think that this is clear evidence of two-tier policing. I'd also like to note that when the Villa fans came out and started to face off with the pro-Palestinian protesters, they were kettled and dealt with by police almost instantly. So I just feel like politics is sort of seeping into every aspect of our lives, and I don't think it should. What do you guys think?
Can I say, I think there is a deep moral cowardice in our police force across this country. Every single time Islamist sectarians decide they're going to march somewhere or show up somewhere, as they did in Whitechapel, when that UKIP protest was banned in Whitechapel, they allowed Muslim men with eyewitnesses saying they saw men with bats masked up to march through the streets in a demonstration of force and intimidation. That is allowed, but 100 UKIP protesters not allowed. Birmingham, same situation. Well done on your work there, Emma. Absolutely fantastic. That footage was yours, wasn't it, by the way?
Yes, that was
brilliant footage. Very brave of you to do that. When we see what happened there, guess what? Jewish fans not allowed to come because they're the hooligans. Well, we saw 11 arrests the other night. Yep. The two-tier hypocrisy and the clear intimidation. The police are running scared of Islamists and sectarians in this country, and we've got to address it.
They absolutely are, and I think 700 police needed to be drafted in that night to maintain the crowds. And I find that really, really weird, because the reason that they gave for stopping those Israeli football fans from coming is the hooliganism of those fans. So surely, if you'd got rid of those fans, there would not have been any need to police the streets. 700 is a massive number for any football match.
That wasn't the reason they gave. It wasn't the hooliganism of the fans. No, it was the safety group decided that they expected that this would be a policing effort much beyond their powers. And look, it did. They had to draft in people from police forces across the country.
But that was when there weren't.
Because there are people. Because they knew it would become a lightning rod for protest, Renee. You and I both know that. We all know that.
People are now not allowed to come to this country.
No, because there's plenty of protests been happening over the last many years that are just against Israeli teams travelling all around the world. That aside,
how many pro-Palestine protests have been banned in Britain or moved?
None, I'd imagine.
Exactly. Thank you.
But this wasn't a...
I rest my case.
But I don't see how that's relevant, Alex.
Of course it is, because we just pointed to you that Jewish fans have not been allowed to come to the UK banned. I've just pointed to
no.
Hang on.
No.
Just ask me how it's relevant, I'm telling you.
That was a pro-Israel protest. Was that allowed?
I'll tell you why it's relevant. So hang on, because you asked me why it's relevant. I'm telling you why it's relevant. It is relevant because Jewish fans not allowed to come to Britain because of fear of those protesters. UKIP fans not allowed to go to Whitechapel because of fear of those protesters. Why on earth have those protesters not been banned if everyone else is banned?
We just heard that there were pro-Israel protesters who were allowed to march. And also, you mentioned the 11 arrests, but it's not clear where those arrests came from. There's plenty that aren't to do with anything to do with pro-Palestine or pro-Israel.
Pro-Palestine marching Whitehall.
Emma was there.
So, I would just like to say, first of all, one of the arrests was a good friend of mine, young Bob, and he was arrested for a breach of the peace because he was invited by a Muslim man into a debate, and then all of a sudden he didn't like when he was being proven wrong, so he got up in Bob's face, and then Bob committed a breach of the peace, even though he was invited into the debate. And also, yes, the pro-Israelis were allowed to march, but they weren't allowed to get hardly anywhere near the stadium. They were kept to the other side, and then, like I said, walked into a literal cage that was guarded by police, while the pro-Palestinian protesters were allowed within I'd say within 10 metres of the entrance to where all the Villa fans were.
I think we're missing out on something really important, I mean, it's a sporting match. Since when have we got to the point where we're politicising football? I think that's one of the issues. And again, also, it's a law and order issue. I think there are agent provocateurs who are coming inside it and using it for their own political gains, probably on both sides. And I think it's all about the football, and that's one of the problems with all of this.
That's never been the case.
No, but it is. It's about.
That's never
it should
been
be
the case.
about football, but it is. There are issues on both sides going on.
Activism has always been a part of.
Yeah, but there
all
should be no
sport.
activism of
Go
football.
back to the World War II. Go back decades.
Because Kai asked again, what's the relevance? Do you remember when there were riots happening in Birmingham and the police across the country, should I say, actually, are following the outbreak of Southport? Do you remember what happened there? Community leaders were allowed to police themselves because it was, guess what, a majority Muslim area. Tell me one other place in the country where that is allowed to happen. It is not. This is the problem, and this is why people at home are angry, because they can see it for what it is. And what you're doing, Kai, is defending something that shouldn't happen in this country. Everyone should be policed fairly, but there is a different rule for Islamist sectarians, and there's a different rule for everybody else. It's true.
I would say this, Kai. You know, whether or not Maccabi Tel Aviv are hooligans as a football team, and some of that is conflated and imagined, but some of it isn't, I agree. There are football teams around the world that are renowned, much more renowned for the trouble, and they are allowed to travel, they are allowed to play. Millwall, our own football team, was known to be one of the most difficult fan bases ever, but they were still allowed to play. But suddenly Jews are not allowed to go.
I think that's not fair. There's been lots of teams that have been banned and have not been Israeli teams. I'd love to just bring up, you're the data man. There are lots of teams that were banned from travelling.
But that wasn't the reason, and I think that's right. The reason was that they were worried about not being able to police a protest.
It was law and order.
And that is exactly what we've seen.
They were worried about not being able to keep Jews safe in Birmingham.
Exactly. And I think that's disgusting, but that is the reality of policing, isn't it? They need to keep the majority of people safe.
Birmingham is out of control. We have sectarian MPs there. We have just the nights before the Maccabi fans were there, where there was people running around shooting fireworks at each other.
We have the night before.
It was the night before.
And
I think you do see that everywhere, guys. Come on with fireworks. You got young lads chucking fireworks all over the place.
Anyway,
it's a normal
guys,
thing.
still to come tonight, Alex.
Yes.
What have you got for us?
Well, I tell you what, I'm a little bit sick to death knowing that my taxes are going to be going up soon, and I'm pretty disgusted that the NHS has been spending it on nut zero. I've got a litany of things they've been wasting your money on.
Can't wait to hear that. You're with the Saturday 5 live on GB News.
Ready to soak up that holiday sunshine?
Won't we need some cover?
No worries. All sorted.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Heavy thundery rain is heading towards parts of Spain and Portugal as we go into next week. But before that, the heavy thundery downpours across the Balearics through today, now heading eastwards across into parts of the central Med and going to affect Italy as we go through tomorrow, could cause some impacts. Further west, turning drier, albeit across western parts of Portugal and Spain. A front is going to be moving in, and this could bring some downpours as we go through next week. Otherwise, a lot of dry weather for many.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Clear skies this evening means it will be feeling chilly, turning wet and windy from the west though, and it's often going to remain unsettled as we head our way into Monday. For the time being though, we have had some sunny spells this afternoon, soon being replaced however by cloud and outbreaks of rain, pushing their way in from the west as a frontal system pushes through. So more clouds, some spells of at times quite heavy and blustery rain, particularly across Northern Ireland as we head our way further into the early hours of Sunday. But to the south of this, a very different story. Mostly dry, plenty of clear skies, so feeling chilly overnight. And it's likely we'll see some mist and fog by the time we reach Sunday morning. Now, there is going to be some unsettled weather for the second half of the weekend. Mostly cloudy across Scotland, some spells of rain at times, particularly in the west where it could be quite heavy and blustery. But most of the rain will have cleared Northern Ireland through the early hours of the morning, though we can't rule out some showers around coastal areas. Spells of heavy rain will eventually start to push into Wales, southwest England through the course of the morning. But to the east and southeast, a dry and bright start to the day. Any mist and fog should clear away fairly quickly. That's because we're going to start to see those those winds pick up, so turning breezy, particularly as we head our way into the afternoon, and heavy downpours eventually pushing in to western areas. But some sunshine will develop by the afternoon across Northern Ireland, so brightening up here and even across the east and southeast, it should be mostly dry and bright, more hazier spells of sunshine as we see a build of high cloud, but still feeling pleasant, and any brighter spells, highs of around 15 degrees Celsius. Further spells of rain heading our way into Monday, pushing into Northern Ireland, Northern England and southern Scotland. Also a second band of heavy rain starting to push in from the south. Elsewhere, there will be some bright and sunny spells, though once again we can't rule out some showers. And I'm afraid the unsettled theme will stick with us into next week, with temperatures around or just above average.
No matter the state it's in, this is our nation. Join me, Jacob Rees-Mogg, for a genuine, honest discussion on where we have been, where we are going, and where we are with the people who set the direction. Tune in to State of the Nation every Monday to Thursday, 8 to 9 o'clock. Only on GB News.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the Saturday 5, everybody. Keeping this lot in check over the break is so hard, I can't tell you. Anyway, please do get in contact with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. Get your questions in for Ask the Five. Thank you for your messages so far. I just want to read one from Degsy, who says, I don't blame the police officers at the coalface for bad policing, but I do blame the wokery-jokery commanding officers. And that's absolutely it.
Yeah, we don't blame the officers. It's not the officers' fault. I don't hold them responsible. They're doing their job. It is the people above them. I'm not saying all police officers are great, by the way. Well, there are some better than others.
I agree and disagree. I think they are just following orders, but there's only to a certain extent that that's excusable.
Sure.
Yeah, and Alex, you did accuse them of moral cowardice.
Yeah, well, I meant the police as an institution. Yes, I do, yeah.
Anyway, on that note, Alex Armstrong.
Oh, yes, it's me.
Take us away.
It's me, isn't it? Yes. Well, you know what? I tell you what, every single week I have to bring you a new bombshell story, don't I? Because £1.4 billion of your money has been spent on the NHS not net zero programmes. Now, get this. That includes solar panels, low-carbon boilers. Get this. Eco-friendly pain relief and eco-friendly surgery. What the hell is even that? And insanely, this also includes the rolling out of blue plates and bowls as part of the net zero trickery to drive patients into eating more hospital food. I don't know, I think it just put me off my food, to be quite frank with you. And how can we forget about those electric ambulances, the same ambulances that can lose between 25 and 40% of their range during the winter? The NHS says they have reduced emissions equivalent to 1 million people flying from London to New York. Well, I think the Mayor of London might have made those miles up. But they also forget to mention that NHS England employees had taken more than 150 domestic flights in the first 5 months after they were supposedly meant to be banned. Interesting, that, isn't it? And guess what? Not a single one of those programmes failed to cut NHS emissions. It's a total farce. In fact, emissions are up over the last year. And meanwhile, the NHS backlog has risen 3 months in a row now to 7.41 million. A&E leaders are preparing for the worst this winter, the worst on record, they're saying. And guess what? Your junior doctors will stage yet another 5-day walkout this month, with other staff threatening to follow suit. What a disaster. End the net zero farce now.
I could not agree more. I mean, obviously, I've got a lot of skin in this game because I see day to day how good or bad the NHS is, and let me tell you, it's just bad. And it's not getting any better. I don't care what anybody says. But as I said to you earlier, I went back and had a look at some of the failed projects. You know, they've wasted 12.4 million on their national IT legacy programme, 30 million in Scotland when they scrapped the National Care Service plans, 10 billion on PPE that was unusable. Michelle, can we have our money back, please? £3 billion a year on agency staff. If we just trained our own staff and paid them well enough and treated them well enough, we wouldn't need those agency staff. £3 billion on an IT, maintenance. The list is endless.
Can I ask you, because I saw a report that actually the other day that foreign doctors are being used in the UK rather than actually doctors that could be qualified and doctors and nurses to be qualified here in the UK because they're cheaper.
We have 30,000 doctors who can't get a training place because the way that we're running the system now, and this is all really stemmed from, we used to run a system with doctors where the better you did in your exams and your performances, the more chance you had of getting a job of your choice. They scrapped that because it wasn't fair, because if you've got winners, you've got losers, and no one's allowed to lose. What that now means is I could apply for a job and they say, OK, you can have it, but it's in Perth. And then I'd say, no, thanks.
Well, this is it.
But a foreign doctor will go, well, OK, then, I'd rather be anywhere than nowhere.
Can I make one more thing before I pass it on to Kai to tell me I'm a lunatic? We were constantly told, aren't we, that actually we need all these foreigners to come into the country to fill up our NHS. But actually, if we'd allowed the population growth to, just flatline like it needs to do every now and then, well, surely we wouldn't need all these new doctors and nurses. Again, it's the same argument we have with police and prisons, isn't it? The more people you bring into the country, well, guess what? The more doctors and nurses you need. And this is part of the problem, isn't it? Migration demands more migration because it's a never-ending cycle, Kai.
Look, there's a lot of things in there. I don't know where to start. But look, every pound that's not spent on energy bills, right, is money that can be spent on reducing the waiting times, on improving care across the NHS. The reason why emissions haven't dropped as much in that period, Alex, as you know, is the NHS has grown, the money it spends has grown, and the amount, actually, the emissions per pound spent in the NHS has gone down. So something's working, starting to work. The electric ambulances, saving £59 million a year, right?
The NHS is spending more money than ever before.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So
but what's
the point?
But what's that?
What's
but this.
point?
So what's that to do with net zero? Because actually, most of this spending, number one, was done under the previous government anyway. But actually, most of the spending now is targeted at reducing that cost and doing it in a green way. What's not to like?
It's not working.
What's not to like?
It's not working.
Doing it in a green way.
It is working.
No, they have not reduced emissions at all.
Because, as I just told you, the reason why.
But also, we have to actually look at what they're using to reduce emissions. Things like solar panels. Let's not forget the Bovea scandal that was it was last year now, wasn't it, where they were putting feed additives to make the cows produce less methane. Now, cows are literally walking, mooing fertilisers. They are the most climate-friendly animal out there. The solar panels we saw with I can't remember what storm it was, but you remember we had that big storm, and all the solar farms were completely obliterated. All of those PVC panels have forever chemicals that go into the ground. All of the vegetable farms and fruit farms, instead of focusing on meat, you need more pesticides. This is also damaging to the surrounding nature of the birds, insects, soil degradation. These are all important things that especially mainstream climate activists just completely bypass.
Yeah, I mean, we need to have a more sensible approach on the energy mix in this country, and I do think that might mean, renewing new licenses for oil and gas and stuff like that, but to try and keep, to hold back the tide on renewable, on wind, on solar, geothermal, nuclear, that is a joke. And net zero, that you all claim to hate, that is going to get us out of quite a big hole that we're in at the minute.
It's getting us
Sorry.
into
Run out of time.
Run out of time.
Oh.
So I think you just agreed with us, but that's where I'm going to leave it. But it's important to say that an NHS spokesman said greener initiatives are always focused on delivering better value for money and better care for patients. Yeah. Electric vehicles are cutting emissions, maintenance and fuel costs, saving the health service around £59 million a year that can be reinvested in frontline care, whilst wider energy efficiency work across the NHS. Buildings continues to reduce waste and bills. So Kai obviously read their statement before the show.
Yeah, prepared.
Anyway,
how about that?
Up next, it's Trey.
OK, right. I am going to talk about the thing that we've all been talking about this week, and of course that is the lovely Rachel Reeves and whether this is going to be the final nail in Labour's coffin. So Rachel Reeves has just signalled what could be the biggest betrayal of Labour's short time in power. In a gloomy State of the Nation speech, she's already preparing us for a raise in income tax, despite a crystal clear manifesto that it wouldn't be done, whether it was income tax, national insurance or VAT. They said they wouldn't touch it. And then, of course, they added they would only go up for working people, which is clever wording, really, because what is a working person? Is it a pensioner who's paid into the system their whole life? Is it someone who's maybe in a higher earning bracket? It doesn't matter. Pretty much we are all working people. And now we hear that she's also eyeing up Britain's pension and retirement savings. So this isn't just a broken promise, it's assault on the very people that have actually built this country. What it shows is a government that's going in circles, U-turn after U-turn, broken promise after broken promise. And make no mistake, this budget is starting to sound like the final nail in Rachel Reeves' coffin, and therefore the final nail in Labour's coffin. What we might see is a generational change in politics in which the main two parties, because it's not just Labour that's responsible for all of this, are actually lost to the wind, and we see a whole new world of politics in this country. What do you guys think?
I hope so.
Yeah. It is inevitable. It is inevitable, isn't it? It's inevitable now that the public have seen that the establishment parties are not willing to change and not actually willing to carry out the manifestos that they promised the people. And that's really where the distrust lies. You look at it as a bit like a relationship between, you know, the government and the people, the same way you would have a relationship with you and your wife. If she constantly kept on cheating on you, you might get at some point, do you know what, I'm not getting back together with her again. I'm going to go find someone else. And that is what the British public are coming, or you see all these massive bombshell polls, aren't you? You're seeing them go, we're decoupling from the major parties because we cannot trust them. Tories, 14 years, promised to lower immigration. Not once did they achieve that. Promised to clear the debt and lower the debt on the state. Didn't achieve that either. Labour promising all these things. Haven't done any of it, have they?
Let's see what the lefty thinks.
We're in a dire situation. I agree with you. The two main parties have failed the UK so comprehensively, and I think that the Labour Party thought that they could tinker around the edges, do things that aren't visible, rather than tackling the really big problems. She should have put up income tax in the last budget. They should never have promised that they wouldn't do it, because they should have known in the first place that the situation we were in was unavoidable. Big changes need to be made, and they're not tackling those big problems. That means, this budget is going to topple Reeves, and then what comes in their place, who knows? But it'll lead to a horrible election.
It's actually just so clear with the Laffer curve that if you actually look at it, nowhere in history has putting up taxes solved the economic crisis, because what it does is people start scaling in what they do, reducing how much they work, or leaving the country. Nowhere in history. And believe me, I have looked at this. So why are they so economically wedded to this failing idea? Why don't they go with growth? Because this is not going to...
Well, they've been trying, and there's a caucus. And there is a caucus of Labour MPs who are trying to convince, post May and the disastrous set of elections that they'll have, to convince the government, whoever replaces Keir Starmer, for instance, in May, perhaps, to go much further, be radical, radical growth, radical pro-growth, which actually means lots of things that you guys might agree with.
I think the issue is this: there's no one really pushing for growth. I think that's one of the issues. I think the signal that we're getting is everyone's basically leaving. There is no growth and there's no future. I think that's really sad. Yeah.
Still to come tonight, we have Kai. Kai, what have you got for us?
Well, I'm going to be talking about the one last hope for the left. Yes, it's the Green Party.
Oh, God.
You won't want to miss that.
Saturday 5 live on GB News.
I'm Michelle Dewberry. This is Jubes & Co. with you.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christie is here. GB News.
Britain's news channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection. Tune in to GB News, anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christie's Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions. But every Friday night at 9 p.m, you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christie's Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the Saturday 5, everybody. Please do get in contact at gbnews.com/yoursay. Get your questions in for Ask the Five. We need those and mark them up Ask the Five. And thank you for your messages so far. I'm going to read a couple. There is one here from Islam or Fascism. It says, oh, here we go. Trey and Kai deflecting from the very real problem of radical Islamists in the country. There were not agent provocateurs on both sides. There were British men fed up with Islamists insulting the country, and there were Muslim men trying to dictate where the Jewish people could go. With the police's help, Islam won. And I think people are feeling this two-tier policing all over again. We've got from James Barker, the NHS didn't used to need mass migration, and it doesn't need it now. And I would agree, it just needs to be better organised.
Can I read one up really quickly?
Yes.
Because ex-Tory says, make Diane Abbott Chancellor. Well, that would be interesting, wouldn't it? That would. Everyone gets a £3 million.
All right, I'll sign up.
No, you would. You're a socialist. Of course you would.
Inflation would eat it all up.
But we also have Steve Anderson, who says that Alex is on form tonight.
Thank you.
See.
That's very kind of him.
Oh.
There you go. Now, enough of those comments.
So unlike usual.
So thank you for those. Now it's time for our next debate. Right, who's up next, I wonder?
It's me. And as I just told you, that the Greens are the next big hope for the British left. Now, do I believe that? I'm not sure, but it certainly is what some of the British left are saying, and I'll tell you why. Now, at the end of last year, Reform supplanted the Conservatives in their lead. They crossed over. It was a huge moment. It accelerated Farage's rise and put the Tories back in 4th, 5th place, wherever they now are. Is the same going to happen with the Greens? Now, when Zach Polanski was elected leader of the Green Party, the Green Party were 10 points on average behind Labour in the polls. Now they're 3. And a new moment has arisen now with Zoran Mandani, the Democratic Socialist, winning the mayoralty of New York. Now, he did that actually on a big cost of living platform, but many on the left are taking that as an opportunity to say that the Labour government here should be tacking to the left and in response to the rise of the Greens. That is what the Labour Party is learning from this, and should they? Lucy Powell has said, the new deputy leader of Labour has said that we need to wrest the microphone, the megaphone, back from Nigel Farage and his ilk, in her words. She said that we need an economy that works for the many, not the few, echoing what Corbyn used to say, and that we can't out-reform reform, and what we need is a broad, progressive coalition. So I'm asking this. Have Mamdani and the Green Party revitalised the British left, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, listen, if your revitalisation is communism, rent controls, government-funded grocery stores, I think you're going to get into a bit of an ice bath when the British public come to vote on those issues, who are very sensible-minded people. They want to see patriotism, they want to see common sense, they want to see more money in their pocket. Nothing on the left promises that. What's happened in New York with Mamdani is that it's a city mostly of migrants. He has played up his migrant status, of course. Anyone can pretty much vote in New York, by the way. And on top of that, of course, most people there have to rent, and therefore he's appeasing these people by giving away free things. It's student politics 101. But as we've seen in London, who is Sadiq Khan, who I don't think is actually as radical as Zohan Mamdani, by the way. I think he's pretty radical, but not as radical as him. As we've seen in London, it doesn't work. And New York is going to get a shock, and it's going to fail.
So shall we actually talk about Britain for a second? Because that's what we're talking about, isn't it? Not New York. That's just one example.
I do think you praised Mamdani.
Yeah, and a bunch of other ideas. Renee, come on.
Polanski, the man who stood there with a Palestinian flag in one hand and a rainbow LGBTQ flag in the other hand. Now, we know, you guys have spoken about the Queers for Palestine movement on the plan before. I mean, how can you kind of support those two political demographics? At some point, you're going to have to ditch one because they're not compatible.
Yeah, but I mean, what do we think? Do we think the Labour's going to now tack to the Greens to try and sort of win support and make this a Labour versus Farage election?
I think one of the issues, we speak either too much about New York or too much about foreign policy stuff with regard to Palestine or Israel. I think when it comes to the UK, the issue I have with the Greens is it's a simple thing. Socialism works until you run out of other people's money. And I think that's one of the big issues. I don't hear much about growth. I don't hear much ideas for growth. I get some of the ideas. There is some unfairness, obviously, economically. The 1% are massively getting rich and everyone else is getting screwed. I get it. No, I get it. But there's too much unfairness, inheritance tax. There's lots of stuff that's unfair. But there's not enough talk about growth. Once you've run out of taxing people, then what's the idea to actually attract growth into your country? That's why the Greens would never be in power.
I would say in answer to your question, it's the very reason that Starmer is at COP and he said he wasn't going and he is now there, is because they are worried about the Greens and they are going to tack that way.
But would that be the wrong lesson to take from all of this?
Well, listen, what you are all really going after on the left and the new far left of Britain is this wealth tax, right? It's the wealth tax. That's what it is. It's well, they want to tax the 1%. They don't understand basic economics, do they? As all of you at home who are quite well versed in this will understand. Billionaires don't have billions of pounds sitting in their bank account. It's wrapped up in assets. They just get on a plane and they move. They don't get taxed or anything. There is no way to tax the rich. You cannot do it. What you need to do is to incentivise them to spend their money here, which unfortunately people like Polanski and others will never convince them to do. So if you want another winter of discontent or a whole parliament of discontent, vote Green.
Yeah, I mean, look, what worries me as well is that this whole gender thing that's going on, where we still can't seem to get over the fact that women are women and that is it. The Greens are going to take that back 1,000 steps. So there's a lot for women to be concerned about here, not just the Green stuff.
Look, I don't think... I'm interested to see where this plays out in the Labour Party. There are plenty of different groups who would say that it needs to go more left and others who completely disagree. I don't know where we will land.
Angela Rayner.
Well, we'll see, but there is lots more to come on the show tonight, guys, including the most entertaining interviews, and we've got a good one tonight. Also, we will reveal what you voted for us to scrap over, plus a new batch of trigger tantrums, and trust me, they are some of the best we've had in a while. Alex is even insisting on having one. You won't want to miss them.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Clear skies this evening means it will be feeling chilly, turning wet and windy from the west though, and it's often going to remain unsettled as we head our way into Monday. For the time being though, we have had some sunny spells this afternoon, soon being replaced however by cloud and outbreaks of rain, pushing their way in from the west as a frontal system pushes through. So more clouds, some spells of at times quite heavy and blustery rain, particularly across Northern Ireland as we head our way further into the early hours of Sunday. But to the south of this, a very different story. Mostly dry, plenty of clear skies, so feeling chilly overnight. And it's likely we'll see some mist and fog by the time we reach Sunday morning. Now, there is going to be some unsettled weather for the second half of the weekend, mostly cloudy across Scotland, some spells of rain at times, particularly in the west where it could be quite heavy and blustery. But most of the rain will have cleared Northern Ireland through the early hours of the morning, though we can't rule out some showers around coastal areas. Spells of heavy rain will eventually start to push into Wales, southwest England through the course of the morning. But to the east and southeast, a dry and bright start to the day. Any mist and fog should clear away fairly quickly. That's because we're going to start to see those winds pick up, so turning breezy, particularly as we head our way into the afternoon, and heavy downpours eventually pushing in to western areas. But some sunshine will develop by the afternoon across Northern Ireland, so brightening up here and even across the east and southeast, it should be mostly dry and bright, more hazier spells of sunshine as we see a build of high cloud, but still feeling pleasant, and any brighter spells, highs of around 15 degrees Celsius. Further spells of rain heading our way into Monday, pushing into Northern Ireland, Northern England and southern Scotland. Also a second band of heavy rain starting to push in from the south. Elsewhere, there will be some bright and sunny spells, though once again we can't rule out some showers. And I'm afraid the unsettled theme will stick with us into next week, with temperatures around or just above average.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Box Boilers sponsors the weather on GB News.
You could win your entire Christmas on us this year, all magically delivered to you in time for the big day. There's cash, £30,000 in tax-free cash to make your new year go with a bang. There's also a further £10,000 to spend on all the gifts. We've also got Christmas lunch for you, with £1,000 in vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. And finally, a festive GB News goodie bag, so there's something for everyone under the tree. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk
No,
now?
that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up? About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel. GB News, we love to hear from you, our viewers and listeners. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
It's Saturday night and this is the Saturday 5, the UK's biggest Saturday night TV show. I'm Dr. Renee along with Emma Dunwell, Alex Armstrong, Trey Lowe and Kai Wilshaw. Tonight on the show...
Oh, sorry, I'm so sorry. So we have the results are in for the Saturday scrap and stay tuned to find out what we will be scrapping over.
We will be speaking to an expert on the desecration of our education curriculum, plus this.
Specifically in this political climate, like, white people shouldn't joke about genetic superiority.
It is that bombshell interview with Sydney Sweeney, the American actress. A cultural shift in the making. Find out a bunch of 5.
And don't forget to get your questions in for Answer 5. And of course, there's going to be more of this.
And I'm not saying this to be callous, but all of these recipes are for white people.
Yeah, that's a fresh new batch of trigger tantrums for you.
So, it's 7 o'clock and this is the Saturday 5. Welcome to the Saturday 5, where we bring you the biggest debates, the hottest topics and entertaining interviews. And of course, we do want to know your views as well. So send us your views and post your comments by visiting gbnews.com/your say. Please do send us those Ask the Fives. I'm not seeing enough of those, and put Ask the Five in front of it. But before we start tearing each other apart, it's your Saturday night news with Bethany Elsey.
Good evening. Your top stories from the GB newsroom at 7:01. It's reported Labour MPs are plotting to oust Sir Keir Starmer as anger grows over the government's plans to break a key manifesto pledge and raise income tax. The Times also reports more than 9 million pensioners face paying an extra £380 a year on average, as Rachel Reeves is also expected to cut national insurance in the budget this month. It's understood the discontent is also fuelled by the party's poll ratings. The UK could be set for a tougher Denmark-style immigration system as the Home Secretary is expected to announce a huge shake-up. The Danish system is seen as one of the toughest in Europe. It's understood Shabana Mahmood is considering plans to use their tighter rules on family reunion and restricting most refugees to a temporary stay in the country. It comes as GB News can reveal that 1,500 migrants have crossed the English Channel on small boats since Thursday, taking this year's total so far to more than 38,000. The White House has accused the BBC of being purposefully dishonest when a Panorama documentary selectively edited a speech made by the president on the day of the Capitol Hill riot.
We're going to walk down to the Capitol, and I'll be there with you, and we fight.
Different parts of Donald Trump's speech had been spliced together while removing the word peacefully. Speaking to The Telegraph, his press secretary, Caroline Leavitt, branded the move as 100% fake news. Meanwhile, a BBC spokesperson told GB News the broadcaster takes feedback seriously and considers it carefully. A woman is in a critical condition after she was stabbed in Birmingham in what police have described as an unprovoked attack. The woman in her 30s suffered a serious neck injury. West Midlands police were called to Smallbrook, Queensway shortly before 9 p.m. last night. A man in his 20s has been arrested and remains in custody. And former Top Gear presenter Quentin Wilson has died at the age of 68 after a short battle with lung cancer. The TV presenter, motoring journalist and author helped to shape the original Top Gear series as one of its first hosts, working alongside Jeremy Clarkson. Wilson also launched a Fair Fuel campaign which helped to freeze fuel duty, preventing more than £100 billion in taxation. His family have described him as a true national treasure. You're up to date. I'll have more for you in an hour's time.
Take the GB News family with you on any device. As long as you have an internet connection, tune into GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond.
Welcome back, everybody. It's Saturday night and you are with the Saturday 5. I'm Dr. Rennie and I can promise you that you are in for another very lively hour. Now, you've all been voting for what you want us to debate in the Saturday Scrap and the results are in. And it turns out that you all want us to debate whether it's right to cut life-saving foreign aid. So we're going to crack on with tonight's main event. The UK could be putting 250,000 lives at risk as it is set to cut foreign aid funding to fight deadly diseases by £150 million used to aid the international fight against AIDS, tuberculosis and malaria. The new pledge stands at £850 million for the next 3 years, down from £1 billion. So is it right to cut this life-saving foreign aid? Seconds out, it's round one.
Yes, I'm gonna kick us off, I think. No, I know that the international aid, has been cut by the UK, taking its lead from the US in the last year. And I know that charity starts at home. I know it's unpopular to say, but we used to be proud of the fact that the UK was one of the leading lights in international aid that has seen global poverty reduced to a fraction of what it used to be. We almost eradicated poverty and HIV, AIDS, malaria, tuberculosis, all of which now are threatened, are on the rise. Now, some of Donald Trump's aid cuts, US aid cuts, has meant that there are sort of 10 million new cases of HIV AIDS, 2.9 additional deaths by 2030. That's not to mention all the other types of diseases that are on the rise as a result of these cuts. And why does that matter? It matters because any chaos across the world, any rise in infections of these types of diseases, and you bet one day or another, very soon, that will come to our shores. It is a moral stain on our conscience that we've let this be cut to such a level.
Yeah.
Well, I agreed with you just until you got to about 10 seconds in. Charity does start at home, but it can't move outwards until the charity is complete at home. We have so many people on our streets. We have so many people choosing between heating and eating. We have the winter fuel payment issue that was only last year. And obviously now, as we've just spoke about not too long ago, all taxes are going up. So why should we be the piggy bank and essentially the first aid kit for everyone else when we cannot even we cannot even look after ourselves? It would be like me inviting you into my home when I have no electric, no food, there's holes in the walls, and then I invite you and the rest of your family, and then I let you rearrange my furniture to your liking. This is what we're doing at the moment. The British people are being put to the bottom of the barrel in our own country, and it's not controversial to say that we should be put first. Any other country would be saying exactly the same thing. I think that we need to focus on getting ourselves sorted out before we can help everyone else. I'm not against aid. I just think that there's a right time, and now is not it.
But you are, because the logic of your argument goes like this. We need to sort out our problems before we can help other people. Well, look, that argument could go any time, right? You can say that at any point in British history, looking back, spanning the last few decades. But at some point in the last few decades, we decided that tackling global issues also, turns out, has an impact here. And as I've said, you let HIV/AIDS rise, you let malaria rise, you let tuberculosis rise, and that's the impact. Now, The Independent has done a great amount of work on this. I work with The Independent a little bit on this issue, and they did a documentary back in May interviewing people about the USAID cuts and the impact in Africa. And guess what? Most of the interviewees are now dead. It's deaths all across the world and poverty all across the world if we decide to cut aid to the levels that we've never seen for decades.
OK, so, Kai, the reason that things like TB are on the rise in London is because we have a massively exploded population of people who are living in cramped housing, overcrowding. That's where TB breeds, and that's why these things are rising. If we didn't have mass migration at this level, we wouldn't have TB at this level. It's as simple as that. But we cannot solve Africa.
I'm glad you mentioned migration, because I can tell you one thing for sure that would make migration even worse across this country is the devastating impacts of climate change and of absolute and extreme poverty all across the world that we at some point agreed, not as a nation even, but as a community of nations all across the world, that by giving a little from the richest nations, you can actually lift up all boats, and that means that you don't have as much crazy migration that we've seen across the world recently.
Is a little? Would you say that we're giving a little?
I think it's peanuts. I think we're giving peanuts. I mean, come on, guys, 850 million. I spoke about Jamaica last week. It's the same thing. It's absolute peanuts. You just mentioned 1.4 billion wasted on net zero in the NHS. This is peanuts. And even if it was just a case of, OK, charity begins at home, what you said is absolutely right. What if Ebola, God forbid? And it's not even about whether it's migration. It's just plane travel. I mean, God, the Black Death went over Europe real quickly. They didn't even have planes. This is just, even if you're going to look at it from the point of view of our safety, why not deal with these diseases over there before they get over here?
The way that Ebola will get here is by immigration.
Or just normal plane travel.
Well, you're not going to
People are coming on holiday. People are... Look at COVID. COVID spread around the world. Guys, we're talking about... Let me say another thing as well, right? You're talking about charity begins at home. When we needed help during all these wars, did not the world answer that call? Were there not troops sent from Nigeria to Jamaica to St. Lucia around the world, and they came and they answered the call of the mother country? So this whole thing about Africa, we spoke about Commonwealth. Where is our duty of care? Where is our British values? We're talking about peanuts.
Do you know
here,
what the population of Africa
Absolute peanuts is. Yes, it's just over 1 billion.
And do you know what it's going to be?
It's going to absolutely explode. We're talking about minor bits of aid. And we don't live in isolation. We do trade with these countries. Where do you think most of these rare earth materials, all of these precious stones, all of them come from? We're doing trade with these countries. We're not isolated. Some are going to China, but they're going around. Listen, the oil from Nigeria comes to this country. We are a connected global community. And then the people talk about charity. Let me tell you one thing. The diaspora, the global South diaspora, who are all over the world, they give actually the most of that money, in the billions, sending that back home. So this idea that somehow the West is the one that's giving the billions to the third world is not actually true. It's the people from the third world in the Western countries that are giving absolute billions. So we're talking about an absolute drop in the ocean in terms of doing stuff that actually safeguards us.
And yet...
It's a simple thing. I don't see the thing.
If you regard it as peanuts, fine. And yet it's such a significant amount that we don't have enough money to look after our own people. We don't have enough money to get all the homeless veterans off the street.
So you think it would make a huge difference if suddenly there was no foreign aid, all of the homeless would be off the streets in this country?
I'm not advocating for zero foreign aid. I think it needs to be within reason.
How much?
£10?
No, I don't know. I'd have to think about it a little bit longer to give you a specific number. But let's make it a more individual issue, right? I don't know if you've got children, but let's say you've got a household, you've got a family unit, and the father is the figurehead of the home, right? Let's say his children don't have anything to eat, and then he goes out to Tesco's, buys some food, and then goes and gives it to a homeless person, knowing that his children at home are hungry.
It's a false equivalent.
Does that make sense?
So the British budget, you're talking about over $1 trillion in terms of the overall budget. About 100 billion of that is just interest payments. You're talking about 850 million. In the great scheme of things, it is peanuts. Not only that, even if you look at it from a selfish point of view, if we can stop some of those diseases from coming... I mean, imagine we could eradicate AIDS. Is that not a worthwhile thing?
We almost did.
We've been trying to eradicate AIDS for the last 3 decades.
Smallpox was eradicated eradicated. We have eradicated some things.
Virus. Do you want me to explain it to you?
We don't need to go into the
AIDS doesn't cure diseases. That is research. Well, cure. So we've spent over
it limits it.
Between rough estimates between from 1975 to 2025 is that we've given 290 billion in aid. We are currently sitting at 101% debt to GDP ratio, which means our country is in debt and it is going to spiral in debt. Africa is becoming one of the next global superpowers. So is India. So is Brazil. We still do give a lot of aid to those countries. In fact, at some point we were funding a space program in India, which is insane considering we don't have one here. So we do need to be more selective. I'm not saying cut off all the aid. We should have emergency disaster funds to help other countries because I think that's in good human nature. But we can't just keep giving money. And unfortunately, money doesn't solve poverty. Otherwise, Band-Aid would have solved poverty in Africa a long time ago. What we do need to do is help them help themselves. We need to root out corruption. We need to be more engaged and allow and things that are like happening in Nigeria. It would be great to see Donald Trump put boots on the ground to help the Nigerians who are being slaughtered in their thousands.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
We've got to be more selective about how we do it.
We have a care crisis in this country. We do not have enough care homes. We have 300,000 elderly people dying in hospital every year that should be in a hospice, but hospices don't have enough funds. We have massive problems at home. We need to sort them out. But on that note, I'm going to go to something much, much cheerier. It's time for the Great British Giveaway now. And if you're starting to feel festive, I'm
talk of giveaways, yeah.
How about Christmas on Us this year? That's £40,000 cash to spend on the Christmas of your dreams, £1,000 to spend on Christmas lunch from your favourite supermarket, and a GB News festive goodie bag, and Trey will be in that bag.
That's an awesome gift.
You'll get it all in time for the big day. Sounds great. Here's all the details you need for a chance to win.
You could win your entire Christmas on Us this year, all magically delivered to you in time for the big day. There's cash, £30,000 in tax-free cash to make your new year go with a bang. There's also a further £10,000 to spend on all the gifts. We've also got Christmas lunch for you, with £1,000 in vouchers to spend at your favourite supermarket. And finally, a festive GB News goodie bag, so there's something for everyone under the tree. For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB17 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 28th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Go, because I'm going to be...
Oh dear, it's feisty in here, guys. Still to come tonight, we will be speaking to an expert on the desecration of our education curriculum, and I feel passionately about this. You are with the Saturday 5 live on GB News.
Bold. They are under no illusion. Ray. Are you a human trafficker? Boundless. I've had enough of the nonsense, and I'm not afraid to say it. Don't get this on the BBC. Every weeknight, I tear through the headlines. The smell of gasoline. Should we be worried about it? From Westminster madness to cultural war chaos. What I'm going to do now is they are throwing things out the car as we speak. Get ready, Britain. Here we go. Patrick Christie's tonight, weeknights from 9 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Saturday 5. Please do get in contact with us at gbnews.com/yoursay. Get your questions in for Ask the Five. I am collecting them, but we could get some more in. Thank you for your messages so far. I'll just read you out one or two now. So Adam Ormison says if you're forced to pay for a BBC licence, they should pay for your TV and electricity to run it. I agree. Thanks, Adam. OK. So now, Labour is facing a backlash against claims that it's dumbing down Britain's schools. Ministers plan to scrap the Conservatives' tougher GCSE reforms, simplify primary school tests and scrap a drive against Mickey Mouse subjects, seen as a step backwards for standards. And the Tories did lots of things wrong, guys, but actually education was on the up. Yep. Critics call it educational vandalism, warning that pupils will be left less prepared for work or university, as if they could be any less prepared. The government insists it's modernising the education for a changing world. So to discuss this, I'm really thrilled to welcome Chairman of Campaign for Real Education, Chris McGovern, this evening. Hi, Chris. Thanks for coming on the show. Now, I was quite distressed to read these curriculum changes, although I know that views are mixed. For me, the biggest issue was dropping languages, because they've more or less given up on languages, it would seem. What do you think about that?
Well, you're right. I mean, there are some good things in this new curriculum, but you're absolutely right. There are real problems with it. I was head of a school, finished my career, having taught in many comprehensive schools, finished my career as a head of a private primary school. And we had compulsory 3 foreign languages. We were the first school in the country to teach Mandarin. And there were 4 other languages which were optional. So in total, that school, a primary school, for kids who could pay, the posh kids, and in North London, by the way, it was 7 languages. So big difference between my school and the average state school. But, you know, can I just say this at the start of this talk? You used the word desecration of our education system. And I say all your guests, they're all wearing poppies. Tomorrow is Remembrance Sunday. And I wonder how many of the great and good there, and indeed the humble people there as well, will realise that you do not have to teach, you're not required to teach either World War I or World War II as part of the history national curriculum, which I helped to write, and it was an objected to that, of course. But you do have to teach world history, so that you have to teach either Islamic history, nothing wrong with that, West African history, nothing wrong with that, or Central American history. But you do not have to teach World War I or World War II or any of the landmarks of British history. So that's a desecration. So though that word sounds very powerful, you're right to use it. That is a desecration of our national identity. And I hope all your guests will agree. Kids should be required to learn about World War I and World War II, and teachers should be required to teach it. But the new curriculum is not going to solve that problem.
No, I mean, there's lots wrong with this curriculum, I think, Chris, but I know that you're very, you're very knowledgeable about the system that we used to have that is still being used in Asia but not being used in the UK, and the results that one gets. Why are they using our old system in these countries abroad? They're using our GCE papers and curriculum, but we have strayed away from it and they're getting better results than us.
Yeah, that's a big point. And we're about 3 years behind the standard in Singapore. and Shanghai and Japan and South Korea and so forth. And, you know, we're not, though you did say things have improved under the Tories, and they have improved a little bit since 2010, but no one understands. They need to go back to the year 2000. Look where we were in 2000. Look at the international scores then, and you'll find that we've gone backwards. So anyway, the reason is that the Singaporeans and the Chinese and the Japanese are using traditional British methods. The Singapore they still use O-level for the time being. We have O-level. We produce it in Cambridge, but we ban it in our own schools. The reason for that is because when we went to comprehensive education, we had to have an examination for all. And I hit the headlines back in the late 80s because I resisted that. I said we should keep the O-level exam, the grammar school exam, and we should look after the other kids by giving them technical and vocational education. One of the big problems with the new national curriculum proposals is it goes on too long. I think probably it should go on until the children are 14, and then there should be different curricula, some academic, some vocational, so that we have have horses for courses, if you like. So, look, things have gone off the rails. We're falling behind. And yes, Michael, go and advise him. The Tories will say, oh, it's getting better. It got better. But Michael, go and look back at 2010. Look at the international, 2000, and you'll see, yes, it's got better between 2010 and now. But look at 2000, and you'll see we've gone backwards. So we're in a crisis. And if you want to see our economy in 20 years' time, look at our education system today. And the most fearful words I've ever heard are these, to coin, or to paraphrase Ronald Reagan: I'm the Education Secretary and I'm here to help you. The most frightening words in the English language.
Chris, we are so pushed for time. I could talk to you for another half an hour, but I'm afraid this time we're going to have to cut it short. But do come back on, and thank you so much for giving up your Saturday evening.
Thank you.
So it was interesting, actually, what he said there. I don't know if you guys could hear all of it, but he talked about the comprehensive system, that once the comprehensive system was introduced and everybody had to take an exam that was good enough for them, we dropped the original GCE that I took because I'm that old. I don't know if you did.
I don't know. I did GCSE, yeah.
Right. And actually, I would say that the comprehensive system was the start of the destruction of our education system in this country, because we couldn't have an acceptance that some kids were more academic than others and stream them.
Yeah, we definitely have hit that problem, and I think that's going to reverse. Artificial intelligence is going to do something very dramatic to our society, which is academia. Well, you can get it at the tap of a few buttons. You can just ask different chatbots, AI, any AI platform really, any question, and in seconds it will have scoured journals that would be 25 pages long. When I was at university, you had to read those pages, highlight them and write them all down. Now kids can just type in a question and it gives them the factual answer, at least from those journals.
But that's not going to grow intelligence.
No, but what it's going to do is push more young people, I hope, to tech degrees where they can be building with their hands, because that will take a lot longer for technology to take over those jobs. That's the future. Plumbers and people using and leckies will be the people who make the most money out of all of us in the future, because they'll be doing something productive for society. People like us writing things in newspapers and not what will all be unfortunate.
I mean, look, I'd love to hear what you guys think about the languages, because that's the bit for me that has really put the nail in this coffin. They've more or less given up on languages because we haven't made progress on it by getting rid of EBAC. I moved my child's school in the middle of term when she was 6 because they dropped a language. I feel that strongly about it. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, I have a really quite a strong view on this, to be honest. I do think that we're losing sight of what makes us human, what makes us valuable, what makes us different to a machine. And in the future, as you say, Alex, in an AI world, or even if you don't agree with the tech optimists and say that AI is going to moderately change the productivity of our economy but not have the disastrous impact on society, actually people who have the perspective of history, have the ability to talk across boundaries, talk across cultures, who have the understanding, sociological understanding of technology and actually where it fits into the vast swathe of thousands of years of history, that's really valuable. People who can think for themselves is really valuable, and I think we're deprioritising all of those things.
But we can't leave behind. Like, I agree with a couple of things you said, but we can't leave behind where it's all come from. I mean, even like you just said. I mean, when I was growing up, I think I'm the youngest one on the panel, so we did have, you know, the smart boards when they called them magic boards, and they came with these pens and everything. But when I much preferred, when I was in first school, we had the actual handheld whiteboards. You're not allowed to call them whiteboards.
Hi,
or
blackboards
anymore. You know, and now, I mean, I got to high school, and all of a sudden, if you had dyslexia, you didn't have to use pen and paper at all throughout the entire school day, and you could carry around a laptop. Now, other kids see that as unfair.
No, it's crazy. But the thing for me is it's the history stuff, what he was saying. That scares the life out of me, because those who don't remember or forget history are doomed to repeat it.
Yeah, I agree. I think history is going to be the big issue, but I think it does need a bit of a revolution in education. You know, things like self-development, entrepreneurship should be taught.
Anyway, I would have loved to have spent more time on that, but still to come tonight.
Specifically in this political climate, like, white people shouldn't joke about genetic superiority.
Could this fantastic Sydney Sweeney interview be one of the most important cultural shifts of the decade? We will explore that in Bunch of Five, but right now you're with Saturday 5 Live on GB News.
Can't wait to get in that sea.
Lovely and warm.
Just like the feeling of having great travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Heavy thundery rain is heading towards parts of Spain and Portugal as we go into next week. But before that, the heavy thundery downpours across the Balearics through today, now heading eastwards across into parts of the central Med and going to affect Italy as we go through tomorrow, could cause some impacts. Further west, turning drier, albeit across western parts of Portugal and Spain. A front is going to be moving in, and this could bring some downpours as we go through next week. Otherwise, a lot of dry weather for many.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News travel destinations forecast.
Hello there, good evening. Welcome to your GB News weather update from the Met Office. Clear skies this evening means it will be feeling chilly, turning wet and windy from the west though, and it's often going to remain unsettled as we head our way into Monday. For the time being though, we have had some sunny spells this afternoon, soon being replaced however by cloud and outbreaks of rain, pushing their way in from the west as a frontal system pushes through. So more clouds, some spells of at times quite heavy and blustery rain, particularly across Northern Ireland as we head our way further into the early hours of Sunday. But to the south of this, a very different story. Mostly dry, plenty of clear skies, so feeling chilly overnight, and it's likely we'll see some mist and fog by the time we reach Sunday morning. Now, there is going to be some unsettled weather for the second half of the weekend, mostly cloudy across Scotland, some spells of rain at times, particularly in the west where it could be quite heavy and blustery, but most of the rain will have cleared Northern Ireland through the early hours of the morning, though we can't rule out some showers around coastal areas. Spells of heavy rain will eventually start to push into Wales, southwest England through the course of the morning, but to the east and southeast, a dry and bright start to the day. Any mist and fog should clear away fairly quickly. That's because we're going to start to see those winds pick up, so turning breezy, particularly as we head our way into the afternoon, and heavy downpours eventually pushing in to western areas. But some sunshine will develop by the afternoon across Northern Ireland, so brightening up here, and even across the east and southeast it should be mostly dry and bright, more hazier spells of sunshine as we see a build of high cloud, but still feeling pleasant, and any brighter spells, highs of around 15 degrees Celsius. Further spells of rain heading our way into Monday, pushing into Northern Ireland, Northern England and southern Scotland. Also a second band of heavy rain starting to push in from the south. Elsewhere there will be some bright and sunny spells, though once again we can't rule out some showers. And I'm afraid the unsettled theme will stick with us into next week, with temperatures around or just above average.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here it's the real world. Am I allowed to talk now? No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I ever got up?
About 10. So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Saturday 5. Please do get in touch at gbnews.com/yoursay. Get your questions in for Ask the Five. We still need some of those. Thank you for your messages so far. We have a message from someone called Josephine Hunderkamp who said, darling, your presentation is getting better.
There you go. It's not... I used to get a few insults, a few broadsides from your mother, didn't I?
She does quite like you, you know this.
I've won her over, yes, with my charm and stunning good looks. Joking.
So anyway, guys, thank you, Mum. Now it's time for this. Bunch of Five coming up. Emma, what have you got for us?
So Martine Croxwell, BBC presenter, who was, well, she was ridiculed for using the term women instead of pregnant people. So
London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine has released research which says that nearly 600 heat-related deaths are expected in the UK. Malcolm Mystery, who is involved in the research, says that the aged, pregnant people, women, and those with pre-existing health conditions need to take precautions.
Now, first off, I just want to clarify that BBC said that the issue wasn't what she said. They said that it was an issue with her facial expression. But I think that the fact that, again, like we were saying earlier, our state broadcaster is still allowing this woke indoctrination and not allowing people to say what a woman is, a biological female. That is that.
And let us not forget that that is a protected characteristic.
Yes.
You're allowed to have that view now.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm sure you agree with us on this.
No, but I think the BBC's just got it slightly wrong, didn't they? But, you know, specifically why they said it was wrong is because that might suggest that she felt strongly about an issue that is still controversial.
It's not controversial.
Well, it is for people... Well, it is controversial. It's the debate that has been mired in controversy since it has began. And so to have a newsreader seem to fall on one side of it was a problem.
It's only controversial because women's rights now must include men. That's the controversial
That
thing
is
about it.
not what trans people are arguing for at all. I think we all know it.
Trans women are biological men.
Well, it absolutely is. And the thing is, do you not feel a little bit silly arguing that for a woman to say that only women can get pregnant is controversial?
No, but she also it shouldn't have said pregnant people. I agree with that.
Right.
And BBC agrees with that, by the way. It's not BBC language. It was external language from a report that they mistakenly put into an autocue. It's not a big...
So tired of being told that being a woman is controversial. I really am.
Not what I said.
But on that note of people being censored, my Bunch of Five was so beautiful. Sydney Sweeney, as you know, did the advert for Levi's where it said that she had fantastic genes. And people decided that that was actually saying that white people were better than black people, which they weren't saying at all. They were saying that Sydney had a fantastic body and she looked great in Levi jeans. And this week, a reporter tried to get a gotcha moment with her and get her to say that she was embarrassed about being white, essentially. And look at her response.
The criticism of the content, which was basically that maybe specifically in this political climate, like white people shouldn't joke about genetic superiority. Like that was kind of like the criticism, broadly speaking. And since you are talking about this, I just wanted to give you an opportunity to talk about that specifically.
I think that when I have an issue that I want to speak about, people will hear.
It's just beautiful. I need to correct myself. I said Levi's, that's the jeans that are in my head, that's how old I am. It was actually American Eagle.
Yes.
But I think it's beautiful that someone was brave enough not to be bullied into discussing one of these topics, brave enough to say, no, I've said what I want to say.
Well, I think everyone on this panel's got great genes. There's none of us are wearing them. There you go. How about that? It's got nothing to do with... I mean, this is the problem, isn't it, with the left? They always try to make everything about race. And it's not always about race, guys. And it's the irony of it all, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, most of us are trying not to see colour or just don't see it where they seem to.
Yeah. I think it's about more than that. I don't think that it's about making things about race. I think it is more about this culture of taking offence and of words being hurtful being more important than actual actions. I think it's something that I think started in the States and we brought over here, and
we did it.
That,
your lot did.
Yeah, okay, but you guys get sad about hurty words too. I think it has gone well too far. I think people are pulling away from it on both sides, but the left has been bad on this. And
I think is really sad about it, which I'm a bit bored of? Liberal whites thinking that they are going to go into black people's heads and see what they care about. I think most black people care about the cost of living or something else. It is a bit of a white saviour issue, and I think it gets blown out of proportion. I'm like, there are so much other things that we could be talking about. Like when we're talking about Nigerian Christians or economic situations or, you know, more play centres or something, even for young black boys. Like, there's so much other stuff we can speak about.
When you tell everybody to identify themselves by who they
it's so boring. I think it's boring.
But it's nice to see someone in the mainstream rejecting this thing, because
it's great marketing for them.
They'd be cancelled.
Alex.
Well, we've got a second net zero, and it's unfortunately for the Prime Minister, it's one of his own net zero, because he's got net zero countries to sign up to his Clean Power Alliance. That's right, zero. Despite it being a year old, this policy, the Prime Minister has, of course, not been able to get a single person or country on board with it. Labour insists that it's still a priority for them, however, and of course the Prime Minister is currently jetted off to Brazil, where they chopped down Amazon jungle just to build a road there so people like Keir Starmer can touch down. Lovely,
They also built a road to nowhere there.
They did. We did that a few weeks ago. That's right. It's absolutely bonkers. Now he's going to have to fly 5,000 miles home and have more carbon emissions than he's managed to save out in Brazil. What a joke. Any idea?
Full stop.
Anyone want to defend that, Kai? Do you want to defend it?
It's indefensible. I mean, if there is any one time that it has been utterly proven by the powers that be that net zero and all this climate fear-mongering that they're doing is absolute... Can't say that on TV.
Yes. We know what you mean. We know what you mean.
But, like, they've literally knocked down... The Amazon rainforest is something that I was taught about, especially in geography and everything, from such a young age, that is the most vital, what do they call it? Carbon captures as well. It is, without the Amazon rainforest, we're screwed, right? Yes. And yet they have just knocked down how many trees for a super highway to get from the airport to the conference centre? And I'm sorry, but with all things... I mean, look at this now. I'm having direct conversation with people at home through a camera. Why do they have to travel halfway across the world to talk about the climate that they've just ruined by jumping on their plane guzzling?
I think we should make you Prime Minister. I think there's so much sense that comes out of you. You're only 21. My God, you'll do a better job than we've had at the moment. But I think the issue I've got, Norm, I say it every week, isn't it? He should be home. Yeah. I think there's so many issues at home. He should just be home, dealing with issues at home. Like you said, you could have had a video conference and done the same thing.
It's a bandwagon. It's a bandwagon, isn't it?
Trey, what have you got for us?
So I have got what we've all been hearing all week, which is they seem to just want to let prisoners go left, right and centre. I mean, I think we had 3 this week. I don't know what's going on, but I do know it's not necessarily the fault of the actual prison staff. I think they're just overworked. There's not enough investment. I can't blame it all on Labour, because a lot of this was happening under the Conservatives. But I do wonder where this is actually going. I don't know if we've got any VT of any of this. We don't, do we? But I mean, what do you guys think of it? Because it seems like every week someone's been let out, and some of them are letting them go into the police and giving themselves up.
It's more than 3 this week. Just in the last 2 weeks, I actually brought this up because I was curious, and it was only yesterday that another 4, now these aren't asylum seekers, these are just prisoners who have been accidentally released, another 4 who are still at large, still unnamed, so we have no idea who these people are, we have no idea what they were convicted of, and obviously the first that kind of brought this story to light was Hudish Kabatu, a sexual attacker from the asylum hotel, Bell Hotel in Epping.
And he wanted to hand himself in. That's
he did.
Yeah, multiple times.
And who have we got to help us fix the problem? Well, the mastermind champion himself, David Lammy, is the man who's going to solve our prisons crisis. Kai, come on. Do you think he's going to be the bloke to solve the prisons crisis, Kai?
Look, I think we should give him more than 2 months before calling for his head, like most of you jackals.
Well, what about the House of Commons
They gave him more than 2 questions and he couldn't handle that.
Yeah, that was obviously poor political judgment, but the man can be forgiven for that, no?
Oh. He then lied.
Give me a break. Give me a break.
But again, you know what I think, though? I mean, they've inherited this issue. It's deeper than just a Labour Party. I think it's unfair to just
if I may just have a very shameless plug, I have a massive exclusive expose on this topic at 9 o'clock tonight. If what Trey said is true, I'm going to blow it out the water.
Okay,
So
I'll be watching.
On that note...
No. Sorry.
Your turn.
I was taken to sleep by Alex's plug for a show now. I'm joking. I'll be there watching, of course. That's how I like to spend my Saturday night. My story is about something we all know. Work doesn't pay, and welfare is the road for most young people. And actually, people are getting sick and tired of it, especially the young who don't have a jobs market that is tightening, in a system where 53% of British people take more from the state than they give back. The youth are more divided than ever. So 31% of young people want the UK to go back to the way it was. Don't think they even remember the way it was. 2/3 say that offenders should be given tougher sentences, and people also are hardening on welfare as well, saying that people should be standing on their 2 feet. So the state of the system right now is in particular affecting those who, after COVID, facing this jobs market, facing not being able to get on the housing ladder. I think the young people in this country are really getting a bit sick and tired. That can matter in the next election.
I think the biggest motivator to get work is to not have any money. So if the state didn't give these young people any money after, let's say, 3 months, they'd get a job.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, should we do it?
It's true.
Oh, yeah, no, I agree. I mean, some people are coming from third world countries, like where my parents, Nigerian. You'd be lucky to get money for doing absolutely nothing. It is crazy. I think we should have a welfare state, but it's got to the point where people are making it a lifestyle rather than actually safety net.
Absolutely right.
That's the problem.
Anyway, still to come tonight, guys.
I'm trying to see if I can get some food, because we literally don't have anything to eat today.
Sorry, Trigger Tantrums is next, and you're with the Saturday 5 live on GB News.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m. only on GB News.
I'm Jacob Rees-Mogg, and this is GB News, Britain's news channel. I'm Nigel Farage, and this is GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
I'm Tom Harwood. This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast, every day from 6 a.m.
12,000 men die a year from prostate cancer. I think that's the fact that a lot of people don't realise in the first place, which is scary. But the potential life-saving trial that's been found will allow... Well, there's a study that shows 162,000 men. That could be reduced by 13%. So I think the one thing that's really interesting with prostate cancer is how hard it is actually to get the test. And I think that's one thing. A lot of people are scared to take it, I find. And it's kind of these stats that it's information getting out there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you are entitled to it over 50.
You're entitled
to
it.
It's a battle.
It's a postcode lottery. I'd know men who said, I wanted to get the test. I went to my GP. They said I couldn't have it. They had to really fight for it. And of course, like any cancer, catching it early is crucial. I had breast cancer 7 years ago. I was so lucky, caught at my very first mammogram, and I'm still here.
Yeah, I had to fight for it. I had one when I turned 50. And because I just said, I'm entitled to it, I want one. And I've really, really had to push, and that's not because a lot of people won't do that.
I think it's the opportunity, as you're saying, like, if you have the opportunity to catch something early, like, people will take it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, like, sometimes people don't even know about these things. And I think it's about having the opportunity. It's kind of like, OK, reach out, allow people to make that decision themselves. Do they want to find out?
Yeah.
Because people will take it, like, 100%.
No, of course.
Make it easy, make it available.
GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first.
Well, and that's what you get on GB News. Lively debates, lively conversation.
And we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akwe, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun.
No, he didn't say that, Dave.
I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to the Saturday 5, everybody. Coming up from 8 p.m, it's Ask the 5. Send in your questions through gbnews.com/yoursay. But right now, it's time for my favourite part of the show, Trigger Tantrums. And I actually said it right this time. You've got a free ticket to this week's Ringmasters of Rage, Clowns of Collapse and Acrobats of Absurdity, tumbling over zilch. Just wait until you see this lot. Even Alex Armstrong has insisted on having a tantrum this week because there were so many good ones around. But I'm going to hand over to Emma.
So currently in the US, EBT and SNAP benefits are coming to an end, and that has meant that all of the people who have been using this to get by, or so they claim, have basically en masse threatened to start stealing, and they've also threatened violence to anyone who tries to stop them. Now, I think similar to in the UK, we're seeing the welfare system being taken completely advantage of, and I agree with the stopping of these benefits. So I don't know what you guys think.
Have we got a tantrum?
Oh, do we have the tantrum?
Please stop donating meal kits to food pantries. First of all, this is not disability accessible. People have food allergies, people are gluten intolerant, people are lactose intolerant. In fact, a lot of non-white people are lactose intolerant. And this also takes away choice and autonomy to poor people. You're saying, here, I meal planned for you, instead of letting them choose what they should do with the food. And I'm not saying this to be callous, but all of these recipes are for white people. And if a portion of their food benefit is your white-centric, lactose-laden meal plan, it's doing more harm than good.
I mean, again, we bring race into recipes now. Apparently there are recipes for white people and recipes for black people.
So
I mean,
exhausting.
I do know that my black relatives make a wicked macaroni cheese that I can't emulate, but come on, guys.
It's just exhausting, isn't it? I mean, you know, everything's racist, isn't it? You know, food is food. I mean, listen, everyone's got a little intolerance to something here and there. But I mean, if we all had these sort of precious... This is what we would be called white privilege, isn't it? Yeah. It's privilege that they've got, and they're complaining about their privilege because they're getting free things, and now all of a sudden they've got to eat everyone else's food. Or the constant complaints about having to eat white people's food. Well, sorry, you live in a Western country. There's more white people in our Western countries than most parts of the world. If you don't like that, well, you can leave.
And if you're starving, you'll eat anything. And also, I mean, I've also seen a couple of videos of, and I don't care who gets offended, big people who, you know, say that they're using it to feed their children. They're clearly not.
Yeah.
Talking of the NHS and gluten intolerances, I've got an intolerance to this kind of thing. Just have a look.
Gonna tell you fascists, you may be surprised. The people of this world, we're getting organized. You're bound to lose, you fascists are bound to lose. Race hatred cannot stop us, this one thing I know. Your transphobia and your race hate's got to go. You're bound to lose, you fascists are bound to lose.
So, just to put some perspective on that, that is an NHS nurse singing that us fascists, transphobes, I can't remember what else he said, racists are all going to lose. Why do they always look like that?
Yeah, there's a look, isn't there? There's definitely a look, but also lack of talent, I think there is too, in my personal opinion. But you know, I think if you've got to make a song about politics and call everyone silly names, well, if that's the best you've got, then I think stick to your day job.
Yep.
You know?
Don't think he's going to be a nurse for much longer after that. I really don't.
Alex, you put your foot down this week and insisted on having a tantrum, so make it a good one.
I did, and I'll tell you why, because I saw this clip and, you know, listen, some of you are going to call me cruel for this. However, why didn't you take a look and you see if you think I'm being cruel?
It's really bad.
Danielle Grant is starving.
You know, I'm trying to see if I can get some food because we literally don't have anything to eat today or tomorrow. So we're going to try to make ends meet and we can.
Desperate for food, nowhere to go. Grant and many others got to the Hope Line today just to make an appointment to come back later in the week for food. Resources are slim, leaving 40% of Bronxites without money to feed themselves. Some still in shock.
You heard things before, but it's like, they're not going to let people starve. That's ridiculous.
I wonder if you think she's starving.
If she's starving, I must be dead.
Look, can I make a serious point on the SNAP benefits, right? Because
it's the Democrats' fault,
Emma,
isn't it?
you said that you agree with this, but actually lots of Republicans, SNAP benefits being taken away from people was a red line. So you're out of kilter, not just with, you know, with right-wingers here, but also most normal people who would accept that letting people feed their kids and helping people in poverty, we should all be in favour of that.
Do you think she's starving?
I don't know what health condition she has, Dr. Renee. You should know that.
Come off it.
Come on. You don't know her personal circumstances. You don't. But nice tantrum.
Yeah. Well, listen. I understand that, you know, everyone's hunger is different. I'm not saying that she's not hungry, but I just think, you know, there's a.
She might be diabetic.
I just think
she might have a.
I don't think she's starving. You know, I just look at people who are starving in parts of Africa and go, I think you might be exaggerating.
It's all right. Yeah. It's all right because you want to take food away from those people too, don't you,
also,
Alex?
well, who's the one partially funding? Hang on, who's the one partially funding that programme, Kai? The Trump administration. It's the Democrats who have shut down the government, not the Republicans. Let's not forget that. It's your
load
socialist
of
friends.
nonsense.
Yes, it is.
Know
it is. It's the Democrats. It's the socialists.
Sleepwalking into fascism.
You know, a second ago you talked about young people and the welfare state and how big it is, and we need to trim it. We do need to trim it, and these, you know, unfortunately, there are always going to be losers and people that are crying.
I don't know.
I think what's sad, though, about America, though, because I can see both sides of it, is people at the top are taking a hell of a lot.
I'm sorry.
They need balance. They need some balance.
Now, don't go anywhere. Coming up is the Saturday 5 Extra. It's when Alex deserts me, so when I do it wrong, he won't help me. We're going to let our hair down. Anything can happen. So do get ready, guys. We will be back in just a little moment.
Today, clouds overhead, total zen within.